It's the Welcome to Cooperville podcast, live from quarantine Twitch session number 59 with my buddy Kyle, the artist known as Blacklite District. How you doing, my brother? It's been a minute.
I'm doing good, bro. Yes, it's definitely been a minute. I'm excited, man. It's I think it was like last year around this time I came through and I was with Adelita's Way and played there. So yeah, it's been a while, man. And it's just, with all the craziness going on nowadays, I feel like I'm back on the scene here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt, man. It was this is episode 59. You were on episode 12 down here in the lab. You came down. Yeah, it was I think it was an off day between shows. You and Rick and the guys were up in the area, and we had you over, and we'll get into that conversation because that was, of the 59 that I've done, that was probably it was the most fun that I've had because you were here live and in person. We got to rap and be back and forth with it, but you opened up about some things, and I think that helped me open up about some things after the podcast. So a lot of stuff that we'll get to touch on here today. But
then I have to say too, I kind of felt bad that afterwards I didn't share it as much as I should have, because after we did the podcast, I got all nervous about it.
Right.
I was like, shit, you know what I'm saying? So, but bro, no, it was a good time. And again, like from what I was going through at the time, it made things so much better because I felt like, again, I wasn't just keeping all this shit inside, even just to get to chat with you, bro, it was awesome. So again, I'm appreciative to be here and I'm stoked, man.
Yeah, man. We got some people jumping on the chat here. I think it's the Reaper. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Blacklite District fan. I think there must be a fan of yours.
Yeah, no, man, that's again, just jumping into that, it's just so cool to watch, when I do my own live streams, for example, I'll go on my YouTube channel. I just hit 130,000 subscribers yesterday.
Nice.
And again, man, the subscribers just keep going up, bro. Every 2 to 3 days is another 1,000, and then when I'm on these live streams, the fact that I get to connect with these fans so much, and that I've been able again to build such a hardcore fan base that is so into what I do, man. It's amazing. And I appreciate all the love and support so much. And again, just the fact that I've been able to kind of build this base doing things non-traditionally, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How we are sitting right here, bro. We can call it non-traditional, but this is the future. This is the now shit, you know what I'm saying? So it's just awesome, man. I'm grateful to have the fan base that I have,
Yeah, and we got some April. April is the Blacklite District fan. She's been on your live streams, it sounds like. But no, we've gone back and forth about this. I think even before I had you on the podcast, I'm sure I interviewed you on the old terrestrial radio, at some point as well. And but I've always had this vision of you being a guy who I want to say that it's a Nostradamus effect, or that you have this I don't want to say vision of the future, but you're cognitively aware that the world exists in this internet place, in this the platforms that are available. Obviously, social media, the majority of not only artists but fans and my mom, is on. Everybody's rocking on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and everywhere else. But I think maybe this COVID-19 quarantine thing has really opened a lot of eyes to the fact that we can do so many things with the internet, with the platforms that are out there, with applications like Zoom, which you and I are on right now, YouTube. Everybody's now creating hangouts where people can see each other and converse back and forth. I remember the days of going to meetings at work, meetings about meetings, meetings for meetings, prep meetings. I'm like, all this shit that we're doing really could be done this way and save a lot of time. But you've always had a foresight into, how can you get your music to the masses, to a mass populace of people using these platforms. And not that I ever thought Blacklite District wasn't necessarily a radio friendly band, but you morph and can change and can alter your sound to a song, to an album, and terrestrial radio in itself doesn't necessarily take kindly to that. They're standoffish. We really liked, With Me Now, but now this next record doesn't sound anything like that. And so they get fearful and I didn't give a shit, though. I played your stuff all the time.
man.
Maybe
No,
that's
that's like that was really one of the things that made me like dive so far into the internet stuff
mhm,
because see in my mind again, like when I was first starting out, like back in the With Me Now days and stuff like that, it's like, okay, the song did good. And see, in my head though, I'm thinking, okay, I have a shot, like I might get a shot at radio here in the future. Like I want to create something that has something different in it or something new. Cause see, you know what I'm saying? Like I thought that radio would look at it as like, oh wow, like look at
mhm,
this. Like this artist is trying to do something new. Like maybe this could be a big deal. And that's how I always looked at it. I wanted people to get excited about it. But
right.
the more I got into it, I learned that that wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Mhm,
would get way more pushback, and I do understand it. Like, but then again, it was just always like God, like I'd feel like I was really getting some momentum, whether it was online or whatever, with a song, and people would just constantly shut it down. And to me, it always just like it just really bothered me. The
mhm,
fact that like, wow, this song is never going to get a shot now, maybe because it has too many elements of something else in it. You know what I
right.
mean? Whereas in my head, I was literally just trying to be in the rock scene and trying to like move it forward and trying to be someone that maybe had a bit of an edge going into the future. You know what I'm saying? So again, like just after so many times of doing that, where it's like, look, I can't make the music that I want to make
Mhm,
and get the results that I want to get traditionally as in radio. So that's where it like kind of started with like, okay, what can I do online where I already have listeners, whether it's YouTube or Spotify? It's like, okay, how can I increase that? So again, that's when I started getting into these anime videos and something called Nightcore. And then eventually I moved into like Minecraft.
mhm,
And again, so like when I look at these Minecraft videos, so like, okay, 3 weeks ago, I dropped this song called Wishing Dead. I'm wearing the shirt right now, by the way,
mhm.
teespring.com. So
Love it.
quick, but it's like, so I put out these songs as a Minecraft video, and
Mhm,
these things do crazy. This Wishing Dead, it was trending worldwide the first week. It did 1 million views in like the first 48 hours or less. And it's done like 4.5 million since then. So in my mind, that's a success. You know what I mean? Because it brings people over to my channel or to Spotify.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I compare it to the radio in a sense of, I'm not trying to ramble on here, but
No, you're
like,
good.
like, so think about it. Like an artist wants to get their song onto the radio so that people can hear it, like so that millions of people, hopefully across the country, can hear that song, right? And then come check it out or come stream it or whatever the case may be. That's how I look at the Minecraft, man. It's like I get my song on this Minecraft video where I know millions of people are going to watch it, and I'm like the soundtrack to it basically, and it all it does is bring people over. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So in my mind, like I consider it kind of the same thing, just different platforms, but it's like the same concept. Like whether it's Minecraft or whatever the case may be, my song is getting in front of a lot of people who hopefully can transition over to become real fans of mine, whether it's from the radio or a Minecraft video. You know what I'm saying?
I remember because you and I had been back and forth. I think it was Cold as Ice on that track, releasing it as a single to radio, and
Yep.
so I had heard it, and then I was home, and I have now a 10-year-old, but he was obviously not 10 at that point,
Right.
and I remember being in the living room or in the kitchen and like hearing faintly from his room, that opening to Cold as Ice. Ding, ding, ding. I was
Yeah.
like, is he like is he jamming to some Blacklight District in his room? And I go in and here he is. He's watching that Minecraft video with the song in it. And I was, I think that really was an eye-opening thing for me because you and I had talked about it a little bit.
Yep.
But now and I think that maybe has helped me along with understanding how to embrace technology and different avenues of getting content out there. Is I'm, for 20 years in radio, I was like, well, everybody's world revolves around their favorite radio station. They get up with the morning show. When they go to lunch, they turn the radio on. So we got to have good content there. If they're at work and they can listen to the radio, they have to listen. We have to stream online. And I
Yep.
was, when I started looking at it from a different perspective, from I don't want to say a child's perspective, but from like a
Sure.
different generation who doesn't know a world that revolves around the
Right.
radio. Nobody's sitting around on Sunday night waiting for the president to give his radio address.
Right.
This isn't the
Right.
40s
Yep.
and 50s. So
Right.
you have this whole generation, multiple generations now that are growing up in a world where they don't have to wait for their favorite song to come on. They can yell in the air and their robot will play it. They can yell at their TV and their TV will go to YouTube and will play their favorite, play their mix, play what they have in their queue. And if you start to say, okay, well, this generation is starting to, push these ideas onto the the previous generation. The generation after them, Gen X, is all like they're 100% digital. They're not going for long car rides and jamming out to the radio, waiting for their favorite song to come on. They're hanging out in a social media room or in a Google Hangouts, and they're chatting and listening to music. And so the whole concept that you've really, built this career, or grown this career on, is this audience is here. I mean, this is, we got a bunch of people in the chat here. They're going back and forth about their favorite songs of yours, and it's just like, look at how we've brought this interactive, live, digital streaming magic. 10 years ago, this was magic, and now we're just hanging out and doing it. So I think the way you've embraced, the platforms that are out there, and really brought your brand and your style, because in that world, it can be whatever you feel it wants to be that day. If you want to write a song that has this vibe to it, you can. If you want to write a song that's a little bit different, you still can. You're not beholden to the authority.
That's literally one of the greatest things about what I do right now, is that I really do feel that, and it's like I've been able to like get these fans to where it's like, if it's a hard rock song, let's just say, and then a few months later I drop a song that has way more of a hip hop vibe or something like that. Right. Like back in the day, it was almost like taboo for an artist to like do something like that. You know what I mean? Whereas now it's like, I feel like as long as I deliver the quality in the music, like it's a banger regardless of what genre it is, right? I feel like that lets you get away with it, because if like, using Cold as Ice, that was one that like really helped break me on the internet. That thing itself has almost like 100 million streams, like it should be technically gold and everything, certified with all the streams and stuff like that. And then, a year later, I dropped this song called One of a Kind, which was like a 2-minute, basically me almost rapping over like a trap beat. You know what I'm saying? And that song did like, 15 million views in the first little bit. And it's like, wow, like, again, just to see that I can do pretty much whatever style I want, as long as I keep the quality there and it's a banging song, like my fans embrace it. And I think that's one cool thing about like these newer generation, is that like people aren't so stuck on, oh, I like this style of music only, or I only like this and don't like all that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, bro, if you got the quality, you got the track, you got like a hit, basically, for lack of a better term, like people are going to vibe with you. You know what I'm saying? And again, like another thing that, like, you talked about like doing the Google Hangouts, like when I do my streams, for example, like I get to connect with my fan base, like not musically. So there's the music side of things. And then there's a whole side of it, like where I'm like the personality of Blacklite District, so to speak. And I go on and chat, and bro, like if you were to see like the fan art that I get, like people drawing pictures of me, people that draw pictures of my wife, like pictures of us together, like it's so crazy, bro, because you really start getting the celebrity side of things out, where people love to interact with you as a person and a persona versus just the music. You know what I mean? I don't know how many people you got in the chat right now, but just to see, even if there's just a couple of them and they're like, these are my loyal fans that follow pretty much everywhere. And like, I appreciate him so much, man. It's amazing. It really is an amazing thing. For real.
It's been bouncing 7, 10. There was 14 at one point. I mean, they're carrying on a conversation about, loving the music. They're talking about different songs. Blacklite District fan had introduced your music to her dad. So, I mean, you really see the power of
shout out to all the fans in the chat, by the way.
No, it's awesome. And thank you all for joining and for following me on Twitch. Really appreciate that. It's a whole new element that is out there. I mean, you want to reference back to something that you talked about, when it's being able to do a song that you feel that it doesn't sound like the previous song. One day it can be this thing. It really, for me, that opened up when I got out of rock radio, because it always felt like I had to be the guy who flew the flag for, that genre. And obviously there's internal fighting in the rock world between, what is, what isn't, this has too much new metal in it. This has too much hip hop in it. But when I got out, the amount of music that I discovered and the artists that I discovered that are huge, like I never heard of Yellow Wolf before I got out of radio. And then I'm like, dude, this dude's like on fire, but he's like totally utilizing the, the social media, YouTube. I mean,
Right.
There's just a Whiskey Myers. I mean, and my music has gone from like this genre to this eclectic, weird. Like if someone went through my playlist, they'd be like, "The fuck is this dude on? He's an emotional roller coaster. Probably should medicate, dude." Like you're
But
like,
bro, going to Yellow Wolf, like some of his tracks like has like a guitar in it.
mhm,
Like some of that stuff really has a vibe, you know. Like to me, like a Yellow Wolf track, you know, can have like a rock star vibe to it. Like an artist like Post Malone, in my opinion,
right,
is like a rock star. Like he brings that vibe. Sure, the music isn't exactly what one would think when you think of rock music, but like in terms of this generation, like you said, bro, like when people can take advantage of that stuff, and then again, a guy like Yellow Wolf, maybe you said you never even heard of him, and
mhm,
here. So it's like how many people are out there that we've probably never heard of that have millions of fans, you know? That's kind of how I look at like what I do. You know,
right.
maybe the average person has not heard of me, but in my world, this is like a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what the cool thing is, man, is that we have access to these things, you know. The fact that we're sitting here right now, bro, like you know, like I grew up loving rock. I got Metallica, Ozzy, I'm the whole thing, you know. And then over the years I've just changed, and I just needed to stay inspired, basically, you know.
Right.
So man, when I started getting inspired and like listening to some hip hop and whatever the case is, like I see so many outlets that do what we're doing right now, these types of interviews. Like there's multiple hip hop channels or guys that are like they're the hip hop guy, they interview the artist. You know what I'm saying? They get the stories out. And in those worlds, like those things are such a big deal. That's why, like in the rock world, you don't see a ton of it like this. That's why I love the idea of us doing this show right
Mhm.
now, because this is what people like want to see. You know, it's just that in the rock world, it doesn't seem like they take it too serious. You know what I mean? Like, do you kind of get what I'm saying? Like in hip
Yeah.
hop, someone can do an interview and they'll have 3 million views on an interview
Right.
because people want to hear the story and they want to see the artist talk and they want to know the guy who's hosting, and it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like a thing. So the fact that you do this, like I love it, bro, because I do think this is the future, and I think there's going to be more and more of this shit going on.
I think what I've seen, and I'll tie you into the hip hop world this way. Obviously, there's hip hop undertones and sometimes frontal tones with the music, but hip hop has always found a way to embrace avenues to get their not just their music out there, but their story out there, and that's
Yep.
why you have a huge hip hop, culture and a huge hip hop.
Culture is a perfect word,
Yeah,
bro,
that
because it is culture, you know?
I mean, they've embraced going to places like TikTok to have their music hit, in a 15-second clip. They've gone to, you
Go
know,
viral and blow up literally from TikTok now, man. It's crazy, isn't
and
it?
and the industry, the radio industry, the recording industry, to some extent is like, wait, these aren't the proper channels. How is this guy making, a shit ton of money? He
Right.
released he's got a 4-minute song. He released a 15-second clip, and the TikTok audience jumps on it and lip syncs to it, and all of a sudden it's now radio is gonna be like, that way, we want that song. That's the one we want, and we're gonna make it a hit. But hip hop has always embraced
Yep.
that. It's always, and you would think it'd be rock, because rock is supposed to be the outsiders and the rebels, and like, fuck it, we're gonna do whatever we want to do, and it's we're badass. But they're like, the corporate structure feels like it's more set in rock than it is almost in any other genre, because I mean, outside of like pure,
Oh,
pop music, where, but even a guy like Post Malone has broken that framework in pop, because he's like, no, I'm going to go and do this, and it's going to sound this way. I'm going to do this, it's going to sound this way. I saw him do him and Dwight Yoakam jamming on a podcast, just like singing Dwight Yoakam songs. And then he goes and does the whole, Nirvana thing. And it's like,
you watch that Nirvana, some of that stuff?
I watched some clips of it, man.
It was killer, bro.
He killed
He
it.
had that record with Ozzy on his latest
Yep.
album. Did you hear that record?
Yep.
Again, that's a banger to me, man. And like the fact that he is such a massive artist, then to do the Nirvana thing, have Ozzy on the record, like that again, like I feel like rock people should embrace that, because all that does is bring more eyes and ears on the genre when a guy that big is bringing those elements into it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Well,
Yep.
they want to have him in, and have him in all the way. They want to be like, now you're in the rock genre. Now you're over here. You can't step out and be, do a rock hit and then go and,
Right.
have something that has G-Eazy in it. You just can't,
Right.
you can't,
Right.
because you're in our pool, and we want to use you in our, to manipulate our our audience and stuff. But the fact that I think your fans and myself included in that realize that as a human being, as an entity that exists on the earth, I don't always feel in one particular mood. I'm not always like, give me hard and heavy all 24/7. I want to wake up and just rage, and I'm gonna rage all day. Like, there's emotion. There's time you want to chill. There's time you want to, have some, banging music. There's a whole range of things that you want to have. And if you're stuck in one lane and you can't do anything else, because if you step out of that lane, you're nickelbacked from the the whole thing. The internet, the platforms, YouTube, Twitch is becoming a great hangout for, I know a lot of artists are doing a bunch of stuff on there for content and for music, streaming, all that stuff. It's just all these avenues are available, and to not try them out or make them a part of your arsenal eventually could end up in career suicide, because you won't be able to, where people's eyes and ears are now is not where they were 20 years ago. And a lot of artists and a lot of industry is not quite recognizing that yet.
For sure. And, that's something I notice a lot. I mean, like, I don't ever like to say, I don't ever want to like bash anybody, because I'm not that kind of guy, now, like, I will talk my shit when it's appropriate, for sure. But, I have so many friends who are in bands that tour, and they work their asses off, man. They're out there, they're sleeping in vans and Walmart parking lots, and you know what I mean, like the whole thing. But so many of these guys, and again, this is just my opinion, so many of these guys, and this is not just the artists, I'm talking managers, radio people, whatever the case is. I feel like a lot of these guys, specifically in rock, are like kind of stuck, like in a dated formula, like thinking, okay, this is how it should be, and this is what we need to do. And yet, like, okay, when you think about it, like, let's just say the last 1 year, for example, like when it comes to rock radio, has there been a new band out there that's just blown up in the last year that's like, oh, this is like the new hot thing? Like, I can't think of it. You know what I mean? Like something that's really stood out on like a big level, it just doesn't seem like there's a ton of artists that break anymore, period, in the genre. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, sure, we could say Five Finger Death Punch is a massive band, which they are, but that's like, what, 10, 15 years old already? Yep. You know what I'm saying? I remember like Greta Van Fleet came out a year or two ago, and that was really hot. Nothing More was hot a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? But like, do you agree with me on that? Like, where are these new artists that in hip hop every week there's a new smash hit, a new artist out there that's going platinum or something? I don't feel like you see that anymore though in rock. What do you think?
It doesn't feel like there's that big band. It feels like there's the five. Yeah. There's the five in the last 15 years. There's the greats that will always be there. Metallica, Ozzy, when he releases new stuff. But we just talked about him stepping out and doing stuff with Post Malone, and understanding that collaboration is like this amazing thing that really can.
Collaboration right there, bro. Like, again, in hip hop, if you go on the Billboard Hot 100 right now, I bet in the top 40, I guarantee at least 50% of the tracks have some sort of feature on it. Again, in rock world, bro, no one wants to collab, man. Like, I'm sure they do, but you just don't see a lot of it. Like, you know what I mean? I have an album dropping on July 17th. It's my official debut, so to speak. And I have quite a few collabs. I did a collab with Waylon, who is from A Killer's Confession, who used to be in Mushroom Head. Yep. And so to have him, like a metal guy, come on, and we did kind of like a trap joint together. So to hear him on something like that blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Just taking someone who's like from the real heavy shit and bringing him over and doing a feature on something with me. Like, we've been talking every day because we both just love the track so much. You know what I mean? And I think there should be more of that, man. I really do.
You see it so much in hip hop. You see it so much. And I think maybe that's where you see a lot of this, these new artists blow up. Yeah. I think even in hip hop, you still have the classic strengths that are always going to have massive success, from Eminem to Dre to, Jay-Z. I mean, those guys will always be there. But what you're really seeing now is it's not even the underground anymore, because it's the forefront, because this is where people's eyes and ears are, is you just have a guy, jump on a joint with another artist, And all of
Yep.
a sudden that song blows up. Well, now that guy, whoever did the collab with him, now he's the next hot thing. And
Exactly.
it's amazing to see just the, this cross pollination of, hey dude, jump, here's the beat, here's the track, jump on it, do this, da 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 da. And boom,
Yep.
they have a song out, and we talked about the rock industry, the formulation, you go and you record an album and then you tour behind the album and then you release 3 to 4 tracks off that album and then
Right.
then you hibernate, recording the cycle, the album cycle.
Yep.
You and many artists out there don't. You can, yes, you have the album coming out, but you don't have to wait to release. Like, damn, we got a fucking banger here, man. I want to get this to the people. You don't have to
Right.
wait for the radio promo and, okay, how are we going to market this, and let's get the the imaging right, and then now all of a sudden you're 6 months removed from actually putting that song together. You're sick of it,
Yeah.
and you're like, why don't we just
Thing, man.
drop this on YouTube and like make it a thing months ago?
Perfect example. Like, okay, so this album I have coming out, there's 19 tracks on it. And bro, no joke, 15 of them are already released. Like, I have
Right.
been putting out singles like this year I've done 4 tracks already. So basically I'm on kind of like an every 6 weeks I drop a single. The first month was like 4 weeks, then 6 weeks type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Uh, and that's the exact thing, man. You don't have to wait anymore. So the way I look at it is, okay, when my album drops July 17th, I wouldn't be surprised if 6 weeks or 8 weeks later, there's a new track that's dropping that's not from that project. Because again, in today's world, bro, with how fast and how much content there is, and especially with the way that people consume the content nowadays,
Mm.
you almost it's almost like the old, like, I guess the cycle, the way of doing an album cycle, where it's like put the album out, tour, take a little break. I almost feel like that could almost hurt you nowadays, taking too much of a break in between, out of sight, out of mind type thing. Again, especially with today's generation, so I feel like, and it's even a proven fact that artists on Spotify and YouTube, you actually get rewarded by putting out more content. With Spotify, they have the release radar playlist,
Right.
where people who are following artists every Friday, they get their release radar, which is all new singles from artists they follow and things similar, right? So the more an artist like me, let's say I'm doing it every 6 weeks, which I have been. So every 6 weeks, I'm on a release radar to somebody, a lot of people, however many people, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
It shows up, and then the next week it gets a little bigger. So every time you're dropping something, you're reaching more and more people through the algorithms. And that those can actually build you better than like getting on an editorial playlist or something, because that's always temporary, like the playlist spot. But these algorithmic playlists that introduce you to people, bro, it's amazing, man. That's why, again, the content is faster nowadays than ever before. I think if I were to just put out my album and not put out anything for a year, I think it would be a bad thing, honestly. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Regardless of how I feel about it, I feel like that's just how it is, man. People want content and they want it now.
And the attention span now is shorter than ever. So I think
I
you're
got
right.
songs that are barely 2 minutes on this album, bro. Just for
Yeah.
that reason,
Yeah. You can't, if you mentioned out of sight, out of mind. And I think with so many different platforms that you can release content onto, whether that's, making some real life stuff and dropping a photo on Instagram, like, hey, we're, quarantine life. I think a lot of, some, I wouldn't say a lot, but some artists have brought in more of their personal life out in Instagram, so that, but what they're trying to do is maintain that connection with the fan base and say, hey, yeah, we're human too. We're all going through this. But if you disappear and you don't spend the time, hey, we're writing new music, we can't wait to get it out to you. If you're not constantly communicating with your fans on whatever platform that is, or releasing music, like you have the capabilities of doing it, and many artists do, but they're backlogged by management and all that other stuff that,
Yeah.
I think our mutual friend Rick has an opinion on that. So we'll get to that in just a bit. But
Yeah, no, for
if
sure.
you're not releasing content, I want to say on the daily, but pretty close,
Right.
you should have pieces of content that are out, even stacked, ready to go.
Yeah. And I'm not even like, personally, bro, like, I'm not a guy that likes to go on my social medias and post, oh, this is what I'm eating, this is what I'm doing
Right.
today, blah blah. But as Blacklight District, like, I feel like I'm obligated to put up a picture every day, or a video clip, or do a live stream or something, because again of what we just said, like, that's what I do for my brand and
Mm.
my business. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I still love it, but it's not something I would do personally. But you know what I'm saying? Like I get where it's at, you know. So
I had Rick Jesus, our friend Ricky, on here on a live Twitch session a couple of weeks back, and always great to catch up with him. And I feel that your relationship with him is like super incredible. Like there's this understanding that I don't want to say that you both are fighting the system, because you're not. You're both doing things the way that you want to do it. And Rick's, since not since the beginning, but for a long time, Rick, decided to take control of his music and his career and his life, and where he wanted to be in control of what he was doing with his life through his music. And he's done that, and you're doing that. That relationship. Tell me about, I know you guys have been on tour a handful of times. We're supposed to be on one probably right now as we're
literally,
speaking, but fucking COVID. So
yeah.
now how did that relationship blossom between you and Adelaide Way?
Question, man. Well, about I think it was about a year ago now. What is it? Yeah, like so a year ago in May, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We did our first tour. So let's say January of last year, I got the offer. I had signed with an agent who was also his agent, and I don't know what happened. Basically, he pulled some magic, and he's like, "Look, I got you this Adelita's Way tour." And I was like, "Damn, hell yeah!" Because I never met him or any of the guys. I obviously grew up hearing them on the radio and being very familiar with Adelita's Way, like literally. So that was cool for me, man, because it's like, damn, like I know these guys, I know this music, like I love it. I grew up listening to it,
Mm-hmm.
19 years old in 2009 when Invincible came out. I remember jamming that shit all over, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So again, to fast forward 10 years later and to be like, damn, I'm going out. That's awesome. So I I had something happen. I'm trying to remember how this all worked, but anyways, I had to reach out to Rick, and I kind of wanted to anyway, just to say, "Hey, what's up, man? I appreciate you having me out on the tour." Blah blah blah, and we just kind of started talking, man, and like like literally, I think Rick even said it the first time we talked. I can't remember if it was him or me that said it, but it's like, damn, I feel like we've been friends a while already. Like
Mm-hmm.
just because we were kind of so similar in some of that stuff. Um, and yeah, man, I mean, obviously I've been out with Adelaide's Way. This is going to be the fourth tour in the last year that we've done together. And I think, man, it happened organically because of like the way that Rick looks at things. And I think he sees kind of like how you referenced he and I kind of being the same. We both kind of have the vision of like, we don't have to rely on anybody anymore. No one tells us what we can or cannot do or
Mm-hmm.
how the proper way to do things are. And I think when he sees a younger artist like me coming up, getting the numbers that I get, streaming wise, he knows that I'm embedded in the future a little bit. And I think he likes to have, when he brings me on tour, I think it's cool that he has an element of that futuristic thing on the show. I could be wrong on his opinion. That's what I'm assuming.
Right.
And again, same for him. For someone who's been in the industry for a while now and started out doing it pretty much the traditional way with the major label, all the radio play. And you obviously saw that took Adelita's Way to, I would say, like mainstream rock artist status, wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
you say so?
Yeah.
As like a standard. And then but for him now to be releasing all these songs, like his latest song Habit that just came out a month or two ago, like it's an epic joint, man. And it would never be on rock radio because it's got flares of new age stuff and it's a little different.
Right.
And I think, man, Adelita's Way is killing it, and I think they're only going to thrive in the future even more.
Yeah. They've taken some of that same idea, that same
For sure.
we
And
can.
that's cool though, because Rick, that shows that Rick kind of has an eye or an ear for what's going on. I tell him this all the time when we talk on the phone, bro. I've literally told him, it's like, bro, there are so many artists that were probably signed to a major label when you had their big hit in like 2008, 2009 that kind of just fell off.
Yeah.
And that's so easy to happen to a band like that, especially him being independent. Now it's easy to just fall off the map. But Adelita's Way has been able to like keep it going, keep the momentum going. And that for him to take it over, you know what I'm saying, as an independent artist, that speaks volumes about who he is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
That's
he's referenced bands that have reached out to him and just asked him like how do we get there? Like how do we get to this place where we don't have to rely on outside forces, we'll call them, to be able to have a successful career. And I think you and him are prime examples of those who have found ways to have successful lives and successful careers to, without having to, I don't want to say answer to anybody, but be like, I feel like I want to do this today. I feel like I'm not going to go the traditional route of whatever it's, if it's radio, if it's a different avenue. You're like, I'm gonna do this crazy shit on YouTube, and it's gonna blow up, and you got the plaques to show it. And I think that's that really is I think a great message for artists out there, because even something we talked about earlier, that next big rock band, you know, that big gigantic headlining pyro band. We haven't found that yet. And maybe, and I don't want to say that this is part of the reason, but nobody is embracing, most are not embracing content. Right. Get it out, push it to the people. The masses will come, and the money will follow. And all of a sudden you can, if you're planning your own tours in cities that you have a huge following, because the data is there, because you can go and say, right there, I can see that there's a huge group of people in this area that are streaming our music, that are watching us on YouTube, that are interacting on Cooper's freaking live afternoon Twitch quarantine session here. You know, they're there, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to go and see that show where it doesn't need radio backing or anything to be a huge success. So it's I just hope that bands can, find that element that you have to be on these platforms, or you will be the band that, oh yeah, I remember that song. I remember that. Oh yeah, that was a good record. They saw them live. They were good, but where have they been in the last year?
Right. Yeah. And again, man, to see so many artists that are stuck in the old dated formula. Again, I don't try to touch it. I just speak it how it is as a fact. In my opinion, like when and I follow, because I keep up to date, whether it's rock, hip hop, pop, like I stay up with everything all the time, because I feel like I have to, So again, when I see like so many like talented rock artists out there that just do things the same old way, it just like almost bums me out. It's like, that's it. Like, yeah, we know you're putting out the single, the radio, blah, blah, but where does it go from there? Like, what do you do from there? Because again, with the platforms right now, there's just such a whole other level, bro. The fact that I can wake up in the morning and I can basically do whatever I want. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have a boss. Like, you know what I'm saying? I can wake up, I can work on my music. I can work on a mix. I can do a live stream. I can do whatever. Like, the fact that I get to support my family while I get to create music is like the best thing in the world, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, like, believe me, at the end of the day, I am grateful to have what I have. Now, again, some people might not have heard of Blacklite District, heard of me, or know my music or whatever. But again, like we talked about earlier, imagine how many big YouTube stars are out there that not everyone's going to know, but they have millions of followers that we maybe have never heard of, So again, you can make yourself as big as you want in your own world. And in my world of Blacklite District and AK-19, which is what my fan base is and my label, like, this is a big deal, So when I get to go on there and become Blacklite District and talk to my fans, like, bro, that's all I could care about. Because think about this. I bet there are thousands of artists out there that would kill to make a living off their music, right? Just to make a living, period. Because it's so tough, man,
Yeah.
But that's why I'm so grateful that I'm in this spot. And like, again, I tell people this all the time. If I never got any bigger than I am right now, I would be totally satisfied, because I have a loyal, passionate fan base from all over the world, right? I make enough money to support my family, a good living, by the way. I get to create whatever music I want. I can go on tour whenever I want to. I mean, I'm living the dream right now, but that doesn't mean I don't always strive to do better and bigger and do bigger things and become a better artist and a better person. Like I live a sober lifestyle now, like the last 10 years, I can't say that. And that was a different person. That's why I feel like just being I'm just going to call it a year of sobriety right now, about that. I feel like I'm really on fire now, and like things are moving, like when I'm clear headed and ready to go, like things are moving and in motion, and I can't wait to see what's next, bro. That's for real.
Yeah, man. And kudos to you on the year. I know that it was last year, about this time, maybe a little sooner in the year, when I had you down here in the lab, and we had a chance to talk, and you opened up about the struggle of the last several years of your life, and and the changes that you were going through. I think you were still, feeling some of the effects while you were here of
I,
going through
oh,
those
I definitely,
adaptations. And, so I think that you already had the success, you already had, established yourself on as an entity to be dealt with on YouTube, and obviously the music getting out to a populace that is there and eager, and the fan base that continues to grow. But after that podcast, I remember thinking, like, that dude's going to go and just like kill the next year. I mean, it's going to be, when you don't have those, those struggles, holding you back, that, and you have, and that's been really, cool to watch, from a distance. I think, knowing that you can create and do a lot of the things that motivate you in your own home, and you have that security of being there. And also this COVID thing that has really, really affected a lot of the industry. For fans, it sucks. Fans love seeing live music. They love going to shows. You obviously were supposed to be out with Adelaide's Way on a tour. So seeing the people getting music out and exposing it to more people.
right.
But you and Rick are the two people I've talked to that I don't want to say that this hasn't affected, because it's affected all of us in different ways. Like you mentioned, well, I don't really leave home a whole lot because I can do everything I need to do here. But now that I know I can't go somewhere, it feels a little bit different.
Sure.
But being able to create during this time, I think, and given the past year of sobriety, I mean, doesn't feel like there's a limit to what you're going to do in the next year.
For sure. No, that's a great way to say it, man. And I do appreciate that. And, I feel like I honestly feel, I'm 29 years old right now, bro. So I'm going to be 30 in I think 3 weeks from today, June 9th, whatever the date is. That was always a big deal for me. Like growing up, I always felt like, oh, I needed to be successful by 20 so I could live my 20s through, you know what I'm saying? Like blah, blah,
Right.
blah. So, the fact that I did go through these struggles, and I feel like, honestly, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I do feel like, drugs and alcohol, they do slow you way down in terms of, if I was hungover, it's not like I wanted to rush into the studio that day. You know what I mean? Like I was laying around wasting days every day, basically.
Right.
And blah, blah, blah. So again, the fact that at this point to where I've been able to build my fan base, and again, it's still all a work in progress. Like I'm still growing, still grinding away. The fact that I'm about to be 30 years old, the sobriety, I feel hungrier now than I ever have, bro. Like the 21-year-old me couldn't touch the 29-year-old me right now, because I'm ready to go. I know what I'm here to do. I know what I'm here to create. You know what I'm saying? I see, in my opinion, bro, I see the vision of the future and where things are going. And I feel like I'm in that curve and I'm ahead of it a little bit, and I'm going to stay there because I try to keep a young mind, a young ear, so to speak, when it comes to music. But basically just to lay it out, man, I'm as hungry as I've ever been, bro. And mark my words when I say that you have not seen the biggest from Blacklite District yet. We'll see what happens.
No, dude, I have no doubts about that. And I think, a lot of that mentality that you have with, I want to be something by a certain age. I remember going through that, and I want to say I thought I had it figured out. I did 20 years in radio. My first stint in radio in Madison, Wisconsin was in 99.
Oh, wow.
I started, and up until
what, 20 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, 21 years ago.
Maybe. Yep.
So, and until last year at not 19 anymore, at 39,
Right.
I was like, damn, my whole, everything around me could be chaos. Life could be chaos. There was plenty of booze. There was plenty of drugs, plenty of all that stuff. But, then I got married and had a kid. But the last year, being absent from radio, I have never felt better about life. And the fact that being 40 in a couple months I'm excited for it, because I've, at 39, learned more in the last year than I probably did in 20 years in radio, because because of the fact that I wanted to kind of develop that same mindset of I'm going to go and figure out how to do this. It started with the podcast, during this whole COVID thing, I'm like, let's see what we can do to make this a bigger entity.
Right.
And it moved on. I mean, I started I have my own beard oil company that I started back last year. So I have that going. I have this podcast. I host a podcast for Rockfest. I host a country music festival. So I have all these things going on. I've never felt better about life at whatever age. And same mentality. Like once you embrace the what's out there and what you can manipulate, like you are with technology and living in this digital world, and dude, the age isn't nothing to fear. I mean, you're not even at, you're at like the first quarter of life. I'm at halftime, but you're like at the first quarter of life, so there's all this time. And if, and especially being healthy, being sober, all these things, now we are talking limitless. Now we are talking, okay, whatever the next thing is, YouTube will have its next, some other magical thing will come out. And you'll own that. And then the next thing will come out and you'll already be, you'll already have your fingers in the dirt on that one. So it's, it's inspiring for me as, not necessarily an artist, but as someone who likes to create content and to have conversations and to bring the stories to life in a more conversational way than your standard radio interview of, hi, let's talk about your new record. Let's talk about the tour. Let's talk about the bus, all that crap I dealt with for 20 years. Now, really getting to know people and really getting to conversate with them and having their stories shared, that has become this huge thing for me, because it's not, my story will interject itself into a conversation. Yes, of course. But this is really a platform where artists can come on and really open up about how they embrace COVID, how they're embracing technology, how they're getting their stories out, how they're surviving things like addiction or things like not being able to, get a song on the radio. Well, there's other avenues, and I think this has really been, having you on again and hearing the success of the last year is just, that's inspiring for me. That's inspiring for the, the 15, 16 people in the chat right now that are chatting back and forth, and got a AK-19 for life throwing down in there.
AK-19 for life, baby.
For life.
No, super, like for real, man. And it inspires me to hear that. It's cool to almost hear how, I'm on the edge of 30, you're on the edge of 40 here. We're both kind of in new worlds, you coming from radio feels like me coming from being a straight hard rock band who went to radio. Whereas now over the years, I've kind of just morphed into my own artist and I'm doing my own thing more digitally like you are, bro. But think about this. The conversation that you and I are having right now, these are the conversations that people want to hear. Right. No one cares about the typical radio interview and how did you get your band name and blah blah blah, bro. Like no one gives a shit about that. That's why I think and I have literally seen you grow too, man. Like I've seen this podcast, the logo, I see it so much more like on a daily or weekly basis. Like, bro, I just want you to keep doing your thing, because I think this thing's just going to get bigger and bigger. And again, I can't wait to share this when this is up on YouTube. Shout out to all the YouTube fans out there. Like these are the conversations I love to be a part of with guys who have an eye and an ear on the future and not rely on the past. Because so many people rely on the past. You know what I'm saying? And man, congratulations to you, bro. Like the podcast has done its thing and it's just getting bigger, and I'm just glad to be here, bro. I'll be on anytime you want, man.
No, man, and I want to have you back on. We're this whole live Twitch thing and the podcast stuff.
Good. I like this.
Yeah, it's fun to get to.
I got a microphone. I got the good quality, just like
I know,
you.
Right? You're not like holding your phone up and it's like, I'm like, dude,
right? Yeah,
hook it up, man. Figure this shit out. But no, it's just being on the beginning of this, and it's been great. And I think you probably went through some of this. On your platforms, maybe not necessarily YouTube because it's pretty widely known, but I was like, yeah, you can check out, I'm live streaming the podcast on Twitch, and everybody's like, what's Twitch? So I think Twitch should be paying me some money, because I probably had a bunch of people go, oh, I'm going to go download the app and check it out. So no, but it's,
I get my fans all the time saying, oh, you should start a Twitch channel. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. I just never get to it. But here again, to see that there are some people on chat. I hear about Twitch all the time, and Twitch is a great place to stream. In fact, going back to what I was telling you earlier about a lot of the hip hop interviewers and shows I watch, most of them are doing literally what we do right now. They're on Twitch. They have their chat. They have the guest on. They upload it to YouTube. Dude, I just think this is a good thing. I'm loving it. And again, for those that don't know, I go by the name of Blacklite District. I just hit over 300 million streams combined between YouTube and Spotify. I mean, that number right there is an astonishing feat for someone to accomplish. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of every stream I get. You know what I'm saying? Um, and like just the fact that I get to watch that grow and watch that grow, every song gets just a little bigger. Every song, the first day numbers are just a little higher. You know what I mean? So the fact that I just get to watch that, when I get to put out a new song and it times in the first month, that's a dream come true right there. You know what I'm saying? Just the fact that my music resonates or hits someone. And again, the DMs I get all day long of people saying, "Oh my God, your music saved my life," or "Your music helps me through the worst times," blah, whatever the case may be. Like I I appreciate that. Like I reply to most of my fans, because it's like, and like that's what means the most to me versus any fame or money that comes with it. I grew up being touched by music. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like literally, like helping me through my shit, and the fact that I can help other kids and other people like that, like that's all I ever ask for, man. You know what I mean?
No, brother.
So
I was,
awesome. It's so awesome for sure.
I had, if you follow me on the Instagram, I work out every day. It's a part of my mental cleansing that I do on a daily basis that I have to do. Otherwise, I don't know what would happen. So I just keep doing it every day to keep myself quick. But man, when I put Cold as Ice on, man, shit gets wild, man. I'm not even lying. It's like, yeah, just,
Dude, yeah, bro.
just get after it. But new
Yeah,
record.
check out my new song "Wishing Dead," by the way, to
On it.
everyone out there. It's been out about 3 weeks, a month or so. It's just I feel like I'm writing the best music of my career. There's a song called "Wishing Dead." There's a song that's about to blow up. We got a Minecraft video dropping next month called "Falling." I would recommend checking that out. And then again, yeah, my album is called "You're Welcome," and that's coming out July 17th. I did just get verified on Instagram, so I'm really happy about that. I don't know if you could see that, but
It's got the
give me a
check.
follow. At Blacklite District on Instagram and at official BLD on Twitter. And I'm just excited, man. I'm ready for the future, bro. And like I said, mark my words, you have not seen my biggest work yet.
Well, I look forward to continuing conversations like this with you as we.
Man, let's do it soon, bro. For
Shit,
real.
yeah, man. By the way, I am on the Instagram as well. No Limit Cooper official on Instagram. Also, Welcome to Cooperville podcast is everywhere. So here's how this all works for those who are following along in the chat and watching this live. So thank you first and foremost to all of you who jumped on here on Twitch and joined the chat. And you guys are having some great conversations. We really appreciate you jumping on here in the middle of the afternoon. If you missed any part of the interview, the video will be posted live on YouTube coming up later on this afternoon, so you can watch it there. And then the audio version will be released on all podcast platforms. So we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we're on Google Play or Google Podcasts. So everywhere you listen to podcasts, this will be out. And that is just Welcome to Cooperville, and you can search and follow. And I appreciate everybody for jumping on today. And Kyle, my brother, I love you, and I hope you are well and you're staying well, and really happy to catch up with you, man, and to hear the great stories. That's what this is all about, man.
For sure. Well, much love back to you, bro. Like I said, it's always a pleasure, and it means a lot to me that you have me on. And again, bro, we might be sitting here 10 years from now, you on the cusp of 50 this time.
Hey, okay.
Yeah,
I told you I was cool with 40. I haven't gotten to that space in my head yet. So but we will be though.
It's just cool to think of, man. I mean, we might be here 10 years from now still doing this on totally different levels, So I'm excited to see the future, man. I'm excited to watch Welcome to Cooperville blow up and keep doing your thing, man. And I'm just so grateful to be here, and I'm looking for the next time, and let's kill it, man.
Dude, think in 10 years. I mean, think how fast technology's grown in the last 10 years. We could be like virtual reality, like sitting in the same.
We could be like sitting in a room. Like, yeah, who knows, man? You heard it here first.
Yeah, we'd like some patents and copyright on that, please.
Yeah,
and thank you.
Hey, no, but bro, seriously, like it means a lot. And shout out to all the fans that came on today in the chat to say what's up. I appreciate all you guys. Again, the album is out July 17th. Hit me on Instagram, keep up, and stay tuned.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Talk soon, man. Later.